Hey, welcome back to Higher Cooking. Today we're going to do some incredibly cool things, but first I've got to turn all the cameras on to record. Okay, we've got everything set up. What we're going to do today is make our gummies. We're going to keep it really simple, but we're going to make the most outstanding gummies that you've tried. So what we're going to do today is use a 1/4 cup of decarbonated coconut oil for our gummies. I made this batch earlier. You can find the link up here. Please note that this is super concentrated that I'm using because I'm making very high potent gummies for this demonstration. So this should be really good. We've got about 2,400 milligrams in this 1/2 cup of coconut oil. We're going to go ahead and get our oil slowly steeping over a double boiler, and then we'll put together the rest of the components to make our gummies. So first thing is, if you don't have a double boiler, you can use a pot like this, and then just simply put about put a full cup of water into it, and then place a glass bowl over it, and this will give you a really nice double boiler. This is good for making chocolates or anytime you're working with anything where you don't want to scorch it, you want to gently heat it. This is the best way to do it. So we'll let this pan get heated up. While we're going to do that, we're going to take 1/2 cup. You see, this is 1/2 cup. One beautiful 1/2 cup of our can of butter. Actually, I take that back. It's 1/2 cup of our infused coconut oil. So 1/2 cup is going into the bowl, and we'll let that start. We'll make sure we get all of that out, and because this is so concentrated, we want to make sure that we get every last bit of that out. Get a couple spatulas. Get some of these. Never hurts to have too many spatulas when you're making jelly gummies. Okay, so I've got my spatulas going. What I want to do now in a separate bowl is we're going to combine and in this case, I'm going to use, hopefully I can use something you can see. Yeah. I'm going to push this out of the way while this gets going. And then I'll bring in, let's see, how do we want to do this? Okay. We're going to take I'm going to use in this case orange, so I love the orange. So we're going to use the orange Jello pack. And you can see this is going, I'm going to keep this warm now. Set that on and get that oil just heated up. You can use juice or water for this. I actually prefer the juice. It gives it more flavor into your gummies. So in this case, any juice that you have, in this one, I'm going to be using mango juice. I like mango. Mango and orange is really cool. I like the flavors that it makes together. So just a simple juice. We're going to use 1 cup of juice. So let me open this up. Give ourselves 1 cup of juice. Okay, I have 1 cup of juice poured aside, and from to that, we're going to need our whisk. have a little whisk somewhere else. It may be gone now. It might be in here since I've cooked a bunch. It is. Go ahead and give that a quick rinse. Okay. To our 1 cup of juice, I'm going to add 1 3-ounce packet of Jell-O. This is our flavored Jell-O. Again, this is orange Jell-O. And on top of that, I'm going to add 1/8 of a cup of sugar, just granulated sugar. I know this is super sweet, it's super condensed, but that's the idea. We are making candy, so don't be shy when it comes to doing this. So at this point, once I have this here, I want to mix it up. Really good. Just give it a good stir until you get all of it broken down together. You can see this really lush orange look. Beautiful. We will heat this up here in a bit, but right now we're just trying to get it ready in our cold water, or actually our cold juice. So let's get that mixed. I can see that's good. Now what I want to do here is now we're going to use the gelatin. This is what gives the firmness to the actual gummies. I'm, in this case, going to use 4 ounces of the Knox gelatin. You can use sheets of gelatin. You can use lots of things. I like using the powder here. It's just a little easier for me to control. And what you want to do here is pour your 4 packets of gelatin into a separate bowl, like so. And then we're going to want to pour in 1/2 of the cup of our juice that we just made. And what this allows us to do, and I want to use about 1/2 cup of this, so try to measure it out. Okay, so I've got 1/2 cup of that in there, and I'm just going to give it a slight stir. Nothing too much, because what I'm trying to do is actually bloom the gelatin. This takes about 10 to 15 minutes to get a good bloom. What you'll see is you're actually going to get a lump, or like this whole thing will almost become a solid piece when we're done. This gives the texture and the firmness to our actual Jell-O gummy. So let's get that mixed in really nice. Okay, and while that's going, the next thing I want to do is, and I'm going to set this to the side for about 10 minutes. So it's all goofy looking right now. Let's see if you can see it. Show it up here is probably a little bit better. Woo. Okay, so you can see how clumpy it is right now. We'll get that going. We'll let that sit for a few minutes. And what I want to do is I'll bring this back into focus here. Okay, now I can feel our coconut oil is heated up. And I want to keep it going. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to, I want to heat the rest of our juice up that we made earlier. So when we go to combine all of these, we can bring the temperatures at the right time together. So I'm going to set this on the burner back on the stove back here. Just on a very slow flame. And then from here, we're going to add, I'm going to take our temperature up on this a bit. And now what I want to do is I'm going to take the rest of our juice with all of our sugars and everything in it, put that in here. We're going to use this cup in a bit, so I'm going to go ahead and rinse it out. What I'm trying to do here is just make sure this is fully rendered down. All the sugars and everything are completely reduced in this. You want it to be fully dissolved. You don't want any of that grains or anything in here. I can start to smell it. It smells very orangey right now. You can see in the bottom there, there's a little bit of powder still there, so we got to keep stirring it to get it fully rendered out. This will probably take you about 5-10 minutes. You just need to bring it up to a simmer. You're just really trying to activate this. So we've got the gelatin that the Knox gelatins that we had. So this, we can see a nice little simmer here. Nothing too crazy. Turn it down just a bit. Once you get that good simmer, you're getting that beautiful color. We're really bringing all of our sugars in. This is going to be great. This is such a fun recipe. As we talked the other day, we like to make our own. I'll get that on warm. We like to make our own gummies because, one, it controls the amount of sugars that we put into it, and so a lot of commercial gummies are full of sugar. This will know exactly what's in our gummies. Secondly, is it's significantly cheaper. In this case, I used about $40 to $50 worth of concentrates, which was about 2,500 milligrams of THC. Because of that, as we make our gummies, which we're making about 20 or plus, we're going to have about 100 milligram gummies each. And in my dispensary, 100 milligrams single gummy, which is very hard to find. They don't often have them in stock, but when they do, they still come in at around $20 each. So that puts the cost for my THC for gummies through the dispensary at about $400 for 20 100 milligram gummies. And in this case, we're going to be making the equivalent of that for around $40, so about 90% cheaper. So you can see as you continually use THC for medical purposes or even recreationally, it is so much better if you can build your own stuff. So we've got this going up. I'll turn the heat up just a little bit more, get this going again. And while this brings up the temperature, we'll go ahead and check on the rest of our stuff. It looks like I see our gelatin starting to bloom well. And let me check over here to make sure our can of coconut oil is still very nice. Yes, it looks beautiful. Okay, now you'll see this has got a rather spongy form, so that's perfect. We've got this exactly how we want this now. What we're going to do is pull our heated Jello up, set this to the side. And let's bring back our double boiler again. And the key here is you always want to keep the heat going on these things. So let's bring our temperature back up in here. And we're going to start to do a lot of mixing now, a lot of stirring. This is good because you really want to blend this well because you want the consistency of the coconut oil to be throughout equally through every gummy. And so this process, while it may be a little time consuming and a little bit laborious, it's actually so worth it to get a high quality concentrate. Also, make sure that you use your own oils, right? So I made my own coconut oil here. Sometimes you'll go to the store and the dispensary and buy their pre-made ones, and that's fine. But again, from a cost value, it's so expensive that you really lose a lot of value. So now that we've got our coconut oil here, I'm going to bring in 1/2 cup. This is the remaining cup of our juice to bring that into our oil and make sure that we're getting this a good mix. You can start to see the color take place here. And again, now what we're doing is combining the sugars with the oils here. So we want to make sure we're getting that really well combined. I'm getting every bit of this through here. We'll get the rest of that out into this process. And then we need to add our bloomed gelatin. This is again what gives us the texture of our, hopefully everybody gets it. This is what gives us the firmness in our our gummies. So now that it's bloomed, we'll add this mixture into this. Make sure we get it all. Remember, this is going to be incredibly potent stuff. Make sure we get all our sugars in here. All right. Now, fortunately, this bowl doesn't have much of, there's no THC in that. So what now we have is this piece, and we're going to really need to mix this well. Keep stirring it because you're taking all of those clumps and try to get them to completely disappear. This process will probably take you somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 minutes of pretty consistent stirring. When you see these large clumps like this, you can just smash them on the sides of your bowl to help get them kind of broken down. It's fine. You're just trying to break that all up to get the consistency in here. So when you see the big chunks, you just push it aside and you'll see it just becomes a little mess. Keep stirring, smashing, stirring, smashing, stirring. Now granted, this little mixture that we have here is somewhere in the neighborhood of about 2,000 milligrams of THC. And I believe if we calculate this right, we had 1 full cup of liquid, 1/2 cup of actual oil, and then we had somewhere in the neighborhood of, I would guess, about another 1/2 cup of powders and sugars. Those all take size, and so now we've got somewhere in the neighborhood of, I'm guessing, just over 2 complete cups of product in here, which is perfect because as we get to our molds here in a second that I use for my gummies, one of my molds that I like the most, these bigger molds for the gummies, actually holds about 2 cups of full liquid. And that's important as we go to measure all of this, because remember, we're going to do math here. And some of you may not be great at math. My math is really sharp in the morning when I have not started my THC regiment. And it quickly declines as my day goes. Actually, I'm not too bad at math all the way through. But what I have found out is as we do this and mix this and keep going, see, I told you we're going to have some exercise involved here. Remember what I was talking about is we have about 2,000 milligrams altogether. And I believe I have enough in here to make just a few more than 20 gummies. So if we do the math and we get the consistency and we equally distribute the THC through all this, what we'll find is that that puts us in the neighborhood of around, smash some of these things in here really well, get those smashed in. I don't like any of those little clumps in there. And be careful when you're working with a double boiler like this one that we made, this kind of homemade one, because it will, as you'll see, the steam comes up on the edges and you can kind of burn your hands. So make sure that you got a towel or something to help keep this away. Now you can see most of those lumps are starting to go away. We're still working. We're going to keep working because I like making perfect gummies. And you can see this batch. Look how beautiful that orange is. I'm weird. Like, I like the flavors. Like, I used to try to do like lime and green ones because I thought, hey, they're weeds, so they would look good. But honestly, I just don't like the flavor that much. So when I got over the fact that I was trying to make my gummies look pretty and seem like they were really weedy, I finally got to the point where I was like, you know what? I really like orange, I really like strawberry, and I like grape. So those are kind of my sticklers. And you know, really, I don't eat a lot of these, right? So I eat maybe 2 a day, so about 200 milligrams total. And so I wanted to make sure I control the sugars. I'll make some other videos down the road on how to make these a little bit healthier by using sugar-free and controlling the oils and making it so that you can really have a healthier but still fun edible. All right, now you can see, again, like I said, 15 minutes, you can really start to see that most of the clumps are gone, but I still see some and I don't want any. So when I see some clumps, I get them, I smash them to the side like that. You'll see as you smash them, they're really great. They disappear. It's just clumps. And if you handle them correctly, you will make them disappear. Sometimes you got to scrape them a little on the bowl, on the side of the bowl. Keep making sure you're working all of that through. As you see those clumps, pull them up, smash them a little bit. What those clumps are is that Knox gelatin that's used for forming and keeping all of these really thick. So now we can see that beautiful, beautiful, look how smooth that is. And I won't lie, this is so concentrated in THC that you can really smell the cannabis, even though we didn't use flower, we just used concentrates. But I used so much because this is such a strong batch that you get a good whiff of that beautiful cannabis smell. Let's see, so this is looking really good. Man, that's beautiful. Keep working this. Oh, look how pretty that is. Just keep working it. We're making this beautiful mixture. And here's one thing, don't just put your finger in here and taste it. One, because it's boiling hot and you would look stupid. Secondly, is it's incredibly strong. And so while we're cooking, I don't mind partaking in my THC occasionally, but I also have to be very conscious that while I'm doing this, I want to make sure I'm accurate in what I'm making, because I do use these for medicinal purposes. And plus, if I have friends over and they want to try some of my treats, I want to be pretty accurate what I'm giving them. Most of my friends don't have nearly the tolerance I have, so most of them are like 5 and 10 milligram people. And that means they get like a gummy bear's leg, though how strong I make these. And most of them aren't into that. So I also make a much larger batch of smaller dosage. So for my friends and other people to partake in. And sometimes I like them just to have them on like fly-in or something like that. And I just want to take 20 or 30 milligrams just to feel a little bit better. Now you can see here, all the clumps are pretty much gone at this point. Okay. So you want to work pretty quick here. You don't have to be super fast, but once you kind of get this, it's pretty much all the way fully brought together. The consistency's there. Make sure you're not seeing any clumps at the bottom. As I like to kind of move my spatula through here, I can see a little of the graininess in here, and that's fine. That's still from the powder, so you just keep mixing it just a bit. I think we're almost at the finish line here. It's looking beautiful. Okay, let's do that. The next step that we're going to do is transfer this into a vessel that will allow us to fill our molds easier than trying to pour it out of this bowl. A lot of people like to use the little eyedroppers or the little tubes. When you buy these silicone molds on Amazon, you usually get a little dropper. You can use those. Honestly, I've tried it. For all the pain and the effort it is, especially if you're doing very small gummies, they make a lot of sense. But for some of the larger gummies I use, I just like using a measuring cup with a slot so we can pour it and fill it accurately. Okay, I think I've got this to the point where I'm pretty satisfied with it. Next, we're going to take our cup and we'll begin the process. I'll let this heat up just a little bit more. Okay, now, yay, hello, I'm like an orange Shrek. Oh, no, that's awful. Okay, so I do want to have something because this bowl is going to be hot. So I'm going to transfer this into our measuring cup. So I'll pull this out of the way, bring this here. And of course, I'm going to want to make sure I use my spatula because I want to get every single bit of this. So the other thing is, watch if the water gets in here. So this should yield us just about 2 cups, a little less maybe. But remember, get all of this out of there. You don't leave any of this in there. And we want to go quickly, as we said, because this is hot right now and it's very pourable, which is nice. Because now what we want to do is take this and set it to the side. I'll unplug this. And you got to go quick. I'll set that to the side just quickly. And then let's get our molds ready. And if I can, clean off this so I don't have any sugars. Okay, like I said, gotta go quick. I'm not trying to rush it. But now that we have this, lined up for you. Okay, we're just simply gonna fill in as many of these as we can. I want to take them all the way to the top so we get equal portions on these.
is beautiful. So pretty. I love making gummies. Especially when I know I'm saving myself like $400. I don't mind the dispensary. I like it. I like my weed and that kind of stuff there. It just though seems at times that we're spending way too much money for weeds. Like they go, well, they made it legal, so now let's make it expensive and charge a bunch of taxes, which is okay. I get it, and I'm glad it's legal and I don't have to worry about trying to buy my weed from some weird guy and not having consistency. But I will say this, it seems like those who are making the money off this are not the ones who really started the weed trade anyways. Oh, what the hell do I know? I'm just enjoying making really high quality edibles for my friends online. And let me tell you, if you follow my steps, you will have fun. You will have great, great flavors and great products, but you also learn a little something. And I think some of the tricks I'll show you will actually help you make you a better chef in any time in your kitchen. And you can see how this is coming out. It's probably about, we're getting right about it. My goal is always to get 20 of these, because then they come in at about 100 milligrams each, which is about where I'd like them to be. They're controllable that way. If they're much more than that, then you know, I have to start cutting them up and all of that. So let me see. I think I'm going to get, there's 22 in here, so if there's 2 left over, that will leave us at 20. It would make me very happy. Usually I get like 23, and it's always a little extra, so I don't know what to do. But I think this time I've timed it, I got it about right. Let's see. And then we'll have one little one here. And you can see it's already starting to, this will probably be our tester one. Little. All righty. And now you have the perfect high dose, incredibly potent, also very yummy gummies. These are perfect. They're going to come in at about 100 milligrams each. We got about 20 of these altogether. We started about 2,500 milligrams, so we might be pushing somewhere in the neighborhood of about 100 to 120 milligrams each. We'll get our test and see how that goes. But 2 things you can do here. One is you can leave these on the counter and just let them go. They're fine. The second thing you can do is stick them in the fridge to accelerate the refrigeration process. In this case, I like to make sure I don't have any significant air bubbles. These look beautiful. There's a couple bubbles on that one, but not most. But most of these look spectacular. I think you're going to love these. So let's get these, and we'll come back and check on them in a bit. All right. I think I got everything ready. All right, we've got our gummies. They've been in the fridge for about an hour now, and I want to go ahead and move those out of the mold. You can see they've become pretty solid at this point. This is what's great about these molds. We'll go ahead and pop these out. I can do this here. Let me move this out first. And what's great about these silicone molds is you can just kind of press in and pop them from the bottom, and you get these perfect gummies. Ooh, look at that. He's a perfect gummy. He's a happy gummy. He's like about 120 milligrams. This one will really make you happy. Let's get a few of these out. You can see how easy they just pop right out. Sometimes if you're using a different recipe, something that might be a little more in the sugar content, definitely more in the Jell-O push, you may need to actually not have a cat up here while you're doing this.
All right, say goodbye, kitty. Yes, he wants a gummy. He can't have a gummy just yet. Let's try to do this while we're streaming live with our gummies. All righty, let's get all these out of here. Again, just take your time when you push them out. You don't want to break your gummies. You can see they're perfect. They have great texture. They're nice and heavy. Pop these back in here real quick. Get the rest of these out. You can see they just kind of pop right out. I love these silicone molds. Makes life so much easier. I used to make trays and then just cut them into cubes. They were great. They worked out the same thing. Very same material, same thing. Just not as cool. They weren't gummies. They were cubes. Look at all these bears we got. So somewhere here, once we're done, we're going to have about 2,000 milligrams of gummies. Get all of our soldiers out like this. To make these look nicer here in a second, though. Let's get all these popped out first. Now, sometimes if you want to add a little more additional flavor, you can toss these in a little citric acid and sugar to make them sour. I'm not a huge sour fan, so I don't necessarily want to do that with mine, but I know a lot of people will do that, use something sour like that, or you can just toss them in regular granulated sugar if you want it. I'm trying to be conscious about the calories on these, so for me, I'm not going to do any of that. Because I like these just the way they are. They have great flavor. They look really cool. Look at this. We got a whole ton of super bears here. So what you'll notice, we've got a total of 20. We actually had a small one if you watched me put these things together to begin with. So we did have a small one that would give us, that I tried and sampled. It tastes really good. I don't know quite about the potency of that yet. Let's get those here for our beautiful gummies. And what we have now is these perfect gummies. Put those over here. Maybe if I could get these to focus. Alrighty. Try to get some for this cam over here as well. Okay. So there we go. Now we have our perfect gummies. On this plate, we're holding 2,000 milligrams by 20, so roughly around 100 milligrams per gummy. So check out the notes over here, and I'll give you the full recipe and the full content breakdown of what we're looking at. Alrighty, now what we'll do is try to make let's do this. Let's turn this on. Some beautiful stuff. Let me see if we can get some. Beautiful.
And there you have the best, most potent edibles you're going to eat. I hope you enjoyed this. For this and more recipes, continue to subscribe to Higher Cooking.